Unfortunately, no. So let's do this. I'm going to end it now. Done. And let's see if I can go like this. Change it around. Ooh, it's awfully close. Tap for description. Let's see. New moon. Moon. So I'm going on Facebook instead. Solar eclipse of the heart. But I don't know. I don't know why it's so close. Things are like it's like so like I'm right there. I mean, I think you can see the pores. It's funny. Oh, there we go. Now it's normal. Whoa, that was kind of scary. So I'm going to go live. See if that works. Wow, okay. Edit. I'm editing post, and it's not Instagram, it's Facebook. Oh, see, it's trying to reconnect. Let me see something. Hold on. I want to see something if this works. It's my phone. If I just turn it off, let's see. See if that works. That's okay. Trying to reconnect. Maybe that works better. So, anyways, I'm here, people. I'm sorry about going through all this technical difficulty stuff. So hopefully hopefully you find me, whatever. So welcome. I'm Mary June Tracy. Coming to you with the 411 of the shenanigans of the planets and giving you a little bit of insight and what I'm feeling. What am I feeling? Feeling I sure in the hell don't want to go outside. That's number one. So we don't want to go outside. Oh, I did my eyebrows. They're a little bit big today. Certainly don't want to go outside. It's snowing and blowing. My grandson stayed home today. I convinced my daughter because he didn't have a way home from school. He'd have to walk, and it is. I know everybody's not that long. It is a long walk, and he has to go across what is it's I think it's Bow Trail. So he has to go across Bow Trail, and then it's 1, 2, 3, and then another intersection, 3 no, it's 4. It's 4, and then 5, I'd say about a good 10 blocks he'd have to walk or so. It is quite a jaunt, um, to walk. I think it's more than 10 blocks, but, and when it's this cold, like, give me a break. And then my kids are complaining like, "You made us walk." I'm like, "Whatever. It wasn't that bad." Good morning. It's amazing how kids always remember the worst of things. They don't remember any of the good things that mom and dad did. It's always the worst. "Oh, it was so bad, so tragic." Oh my goodness, so crazy. So, what's going on in the world and what's the craziness that is happening? There is so much. There is just so much that is going on. And I guess my connection up from my phone is kind of off. So, whatever. Let's like whatever. That's so let's unpack this. Um yes, we have a new moon solar eclipse today, and it is the Chinese New Year. And people are like, "Oh yes, it's the year of the horse. Whoop 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 whoop." Grandparents spoil. Yes, we do. We have more cookies. Um, but I don't think people understand the Chinese calendar and the actuality of the Chinese calendar. And the whole thing about, "Oh, we just got through the snake and the snake shedding its skin." Ah, people gotta understand, I'm not fluent on Chinese astrology, but when I see a lot of people like, "Yeah, it's your horse, it's gonna be great, it's gonna go fast." Yeah, but we're in a boat kinda thing energy, and we're out in the middle of the ocean trying to figure shit out. Yeah, I don't think the horse is gonna jump out of the boat at this time, so I want it to be with my mom. Nana wasn't it was where it was at. Yes, Nana is where it's at, Matt. We just allow and we explain things better. Moms get too frustrated and wanting things done, kind of thing. So yeah. But this is, the energies. Um yeah, the energy of the horse. I think I'm gonna have to do a little bit of homework more so on Chinese astrology because when I see, when I see a lot of people posting about shit, I'm just like, "Oh, there's gotta be more to it than what everyone's posting or that they're copy and pasting the same freaking thing." So I think I need to do a little bit more digging on Chinese astrology, and the energies and what it all means, right? We're just hanging out till March. Take the time to breathe before it goes crazy. Well, yeah. Um, I look at it that the next the rest of February, all of March, possibly I'm gonna go to the end of April. Yeah, it's gonna be chaotic, it's gonna be crazy, until we get into, say, May-ish. May, June, and July might be a little bit better, but I wouldn't say it's, like, a whole lot better, but it will be somewhat, a little bit easier. I was just watching, he's called The German in Venice, and he's German, lives in Venice, but anyways, he's back home in Dusseldorf, and he went down to their Mardi Gras because it's also Mardi Gras today. What? And it's Shrove Tuesday, tomorrow's Ash Wednesday, so it's a very there's a lot of energy going around today, but he was filming the parade, and I thought it was so funny. The propaganda in a parade. They had like these big people took time to make a whole mesh head of Trump and then Putin and that um it's just like they had something in their mouth and they're going like at it, and then they had a whole another thing of Trump and going after the EU. And then there was Trump punching Jesus out and the word ice on his thing. I thought it was hilarious. The propaganda, the propaganda is like through the roof, right? And that whole scenario is like, ooh, he's evil, he's bad, look at him, and this guy over here, he's evil, he's bad. We're the only good ones. We're the only ones who are great. And I'm just like, wow. No, not really. The EU is fucked. The EU is really fucked. I think that, with the Scorpio energy in their sign and stuff like that, they're yeah. And Mark's lining us with them. Ugh, just like I just want to puke. But he can walk off a sharp plank. Yes. Off, off, off. Get the sword out. Off, off, off. Poke him, poke him, poke him. He might like that too much though. Stop poking him. Um but that's the whole thing is like when people look the one, do your fucking history. Okay? You're saying how bad this is or what ICE is doing or whatever, okay? Do your history. Look at what other presidents have done, which has been a hell of a lot worse, right? Look who started a lot of these hotels and everything that were set up. It wasn't Trump. He's just left with the bag, right? He's left here carrying the whole fucking thing. Look at history on what did Germany do in the last 2 world wars? Wow, there's shit going on there, you know? A lot of Nazis ended up going to America. Hmm, you know, there's history there. Like, and that's the whole thing is that you take clips and you see shit on TV and you take it as fact, right? And it's like, you gotta do the whole fucking history and look into it. But people don't want to. They just wanna take that little cliff note and take that as being factual, and when you take that as being factual, then let's say, "Oh, I just saw this person, now I think that everybody is like that," right? That's the whole that's part of this energy that's coming in. That's why there's so many endings that's coming forward. I mean, this is like we're in big energy. Like we got to ground without diluting the magnitude of what's going on. And you're tracking so many powerful, there's some powerful archetypes that are out there, right? And we're heading in. We got Saturn at 0 degrees Aries, and the repeating of Saturn in Aries, the war, the reset, the hidden three beyond. Saturn is Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. We have that within history. Now, Nostradamus, in his writings, he talked about that, right? He talked about the Saturn's, at 0 degrees, and the times it goes around, and the revelations anyways that go on. Also, Nostradamus he burnt some books too from other astrologers. People don't really realize that, from the 13th and 14th century, because they were already talking about that, right? They were talking about that. And so he didn't want that all to get out to, well, one, probably because he was probably afraid that he was going to get killed, right? We need to topple the school systems too. They allowed activists. Oh God, yes. God. They refused uh this last weekend when they had the convention. They there was one person who was supposed to come in and do a talk and everything else, and they canceled him at the last moment. And he was going to come in and talk about, what to look for child trafficking and stuff like that. And he was also talking about um how, especially within the schools of the trans movement and everything else, that, and promoting that to 5-year-olds and things like that, and how that is part of it, right? And they canceled him. And yeah, so you got shit like that going on. We also have, and especially this is one things that we have to look at. We have the Black Death alignment, which is 1345. We also have the World War II signatures of 1937 to 1940, and we also have the 2020 Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn. So the coming of Saturn Neptune conjunction is the ego is collapsing versus the spiritual authority. We have technology, AI, new structures replacing old systems. That 0 degrees Aries, it's an ignition degree. And this is where structures are reset and authorities are redefined and old empires destabilize. I think, the United States, yes, is going to go through some really crazy energy. I also, and I hate to say this, but there's a really, not that there's going to be a lockdown, and I'm using quotations, but there is going to be a plague. Should I use the word? That's not like the last one. Like the last one was a pandemic. There's this other energy that's coming in that is aligned with this. So with that Black Death energy. So we have a lot of destabilization. I think the United States definitely is going to go through a huge destabilization. But it's still going to be the United States, but there's going to be a huge um undercurrent that's going to come in and erupt. And it's not only going to be the States, but I feel it's also Canada as well, and Canada and the destabilization of Canada. Canada, there is just there's so much there's just so much there to unpack. Canada was set up as a proxy country, basically. It was set up there because the king basically wanted to make sure he could keep an eye on the United States. Um, but, after it was kind of a good thing because the United States was costing him a lot of money, so that's one of the reasons why they kind of backed out of it, of the Revolutionary War, and then they went into India. But, because India was so much easier, than the United States, right? So anyways, there's this energy, this flowing of what Canada is, right? And the connections of Canada and how the changes are going to come through. Now with Saturn in it falls in Aries because Aries is impulsive. Aries energy is the spark. It's impulsive. It wants to act. It wants to go. Saturn demands strategy, and Aries wants conquest. So Saturn asks, at what cost? At what cost do you want this? This is not a birthday party transit. It's it's full on activation of craziness that's coming through. We have the Mars Jupiter Saturn configuration. Preceded the Black Death in 1345. That was a great conjunction era. So, mass migration, infrastructure collapse, and labor restructuring. Okay, and that was in 1345. Then in 1937 to 1940, Saturn and Aries era, World War II, national identity crisis, territorial aggression, structural war started to happen. And this is where we had in 2020 Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto in Capricorn. That was the pandemic, right? The government lockdowns, authority, civil, centralization, economic fractures. Now we enter with the Saturn in Aries. This is one of the last major conjunctions that we're going to have in a while. Now, this conjunction with Saturn and Neptune is a combination of historical correspondence. It's the ideological wars, dissolution of faith in institution. I think it's confusion about leadership, spiritual disillusionment. There's a collapse of fantasy-based authority. But here's the critical distinction. This is not automatically equal plague and apocalypse. It equals restructuring at identity level. And that is huge, right? That's huge. The royal family, but they can collapse. Yeah, they can. King Charles III, sausage finger, yuck, yuck. But anyways, just yuck. That's all I got is like yuck, 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 yuck to Charles. But this is, a reformulation of everything, of every monarch. Look what's happening to the monarch in Norway. I mean, that's a shit show. That is a huge shit show, right? Uh, and so that whole of what's going on in Denmark or in Norway, right? I mean, there are other royal families. It's just everybody knows England's royal family. I mean, they have that prestige, but there's other royal families that are out there that are um some are just as powerful as what they are. The Norway one, the Norwich, they are the head of the Lutheran church. So, which is interesting. They're weird and fucked up. Yes, they're all weird and fucked up, but it's the association, I guess the one who's coming in, Marta, I think her name is, who is married to the first in line to become king after his father Harold. His wife, it's int his wife was a stripper and had a son out of wedlock from one of the biggest drug dealers in Norway. And she has been in the Epstein files over 1,000 times. And her son from her first affair, um, is up on charges for grape 40 times. Like, what the hell? Like, this is and that's the Norwegian that's the Norwegian royal family. Quite interesting, the whole affair of it all. But that's the whole thing. It's like these things where it's like feeling like they are untouchable, like you can't touch them, right? We also have CEOs that are resigning like crazy right now, which happened just before the pandemic, right? So these things are there's huge restructuring that's happening, and there's an undercurrent that is bubbling up. Now I was just talking to a few of economists. Anyways, these guys, they're smart. They're smart, smarter than me when it comes to shit like this. But they're saying that, with things the way that it's going, that they're looking at the stock market, and they're saying that there could be a crash worse than the crash of 1929, which is great. Yeah, we've had some crazy crashes, but they're saying like a crash like that, boom. Like, it'll be like a wipeout of quite a lot of wealth again. So huge wealth being wiped out. Now, where that's going to be transferred is going to be, very interesting. Should people pull their RSP? Oh, like I wouldn't even have an RSP. I mean, I learned that from my brother years ago. He goes, RSPs are a scam. They're a government scam. And that's my brother who works. He's 70 some years old. And he worked for the government. Um, and yeah, he always said that they were a scam. Yeah, that's how they keep you. That's how they keep you. He says there's other ways. Yeah, he's another one who's smart. I mean, my siblings are smarter than me when it comes to shit like that. That's why they have houses and shit and everything. Anyways, um the mystical part, landed on me. The other stuff landed on them. As my grandmother would say, my sister could make the cabbage rolls. I wasn't meant to make the cabbage rolls. So, so anyways, yes, he says that's just how they can keep track of everything as well. So, but if you're able to diversify in other ways and have more control of it, there's other ways of diversifying and helping you out at tax time. So, just saying, just saying. So, hi Missy, hi everybody on Facebook. So this is where the hidden three beyond Saturn is, and they've talked about this. Like if you go back into ancient scripts like the 14th, 13th, and 15th century, right? It talks about the hidden three before they were found, and that's Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Uranus was known as a disruption, innovation. Neptune is disillusion, mysticism, deception. Pluto, he's power, death, and rebirth. Like Pluto's the biggest con artist of them all. I'm just saying. He's the ruler of Scorpio. He's the death and resurrection, and he's in Aquarius right now. So Pluto, we are, with Pluto in Aquarius, Neptune in Aries, and Uranus is moving into Gemini. This is not structural change. This is cognitive rewiring. And that's what the outer planets do. They are all about rewiring. They're all about, doing things through the subconscious, right? So when you are seeing so much when it comes to propaganda. That's why you question things. That's why when I was watching that parade, in Dusseldorf, and I'm just like, fucking propaganda, man. And this is where people get sucked in, right? Oh, that one's bad. Look at he's bad. They're all fucking bad. They're all on the same playing field. They're all doing the same shit. Right? But because one didn't play the game the way the others wanted it to be played, he's the one who is the baddest of bad. He's bad, right? So we're gonna blame everything on him. He's the evil one. And it's just like, did you look over here in these sections here? Because man, there's a lot worse over there than what you think is down there, right? So and that's where this is about, looking at rewiring. And I don't, I do think it's going to be a war. I really do. I know there's going to be a holy war. All hell's going to be breaking out with that. And astrologically, what increases the probability is Saturn and Aries. And Mars and Uranus are hard aspects. They're square and that's hard. Now, these things, it's not like they happen today, but this is an activation. So as things activate, there's these ripples that go out, and you start to see things begin to fester even more. And the nodes in mutable signs with Virgo and Pisces, ideological confusion, right? So things, people get confused, they're mutable, they're all over the place. You got, the North Node in Pisces that really want to take you to a higher place. And then you have, Virgo, I got to get this organized, I got to get this done in this way, and it has to be this way. And things can get really messed up and mucky, right? And modern warfare, it isn't like the World War II or even World War I was trenches. World War II was the air, right? World War III is going to be economic fragments, currency restructuring, digital infrastructure attacks, trade realignment, information warfare. That's what the war is, right? And also, it's going to be fought on water because Jupiter going into Leo, God bless Leo, and everybody's all excited. Yay, Leo, we love Leos. Yes, I love Leos too. But because that's where you have to know yourself, you have to come from the heart, and Jupiter going in there. But Jupiter is going to be in an opposition to Pluto. This is where you're gonna find, and Jupiter, with Gemini, and that is a restructuring of, it's gonna be a restructuring of airlines. It's gonna be a restructuring of how you travel, how you get around. Not only short distance, which is Gemini, but he is for longer distance as well, right? 12th house Leo. Leo King is 12th house Leo too. So it's kind of, yeah, a lot of disruptions going on there. But that's the whole thing, is, like, people have to be aware of these. I've talked about, like, you think that you're gonna be able to travel the way that you have traveled? No. No, you're not gonna be able to travel the way you're gonna be traveling. Travel is not going to be there for everyone, for one, and I think the whole structure um, of the airlines is definitely going to be changing. And especially with Jupiter going into Gemini, we're going to see huge restructuring of that industry and what that industry looks like, and how things are utilized. And we also have with the AI. AI is, it's here. It's here. We may not get the CGI and everything else like that. I don't think they're going to give that to us, but it's also the ego collapse and the Aquarius shock. Aquarius loves to shock things. They love to just, you're on a need to know basis, right? With Aquarius, and they like to take things out and then put in a whole new system. So this is a psychological part that's going to be, and there's going to be a psychological warfare. That's why people have to be aware. Watch what you eat. Stop brushing with fluoride. You don't need a fluoride treatment. Right? Start looking into different toothpaste, right? Stop falling into that. There's also, when Pluto enters Aquarius, it's people's projected utopia onto technology. All of a sudden, everything's going to be utopia. We're going to be in this sci-fi world. It's going to be the Jetsons. We're going to be able to pop here, pop there, do this, do that. Not exactly. No. AI is not inherently the salvation or the doom. It's a Uranian acceleration inside a Saturn restructuring era. Let me repeat that. A Uranian acceleration and Uranus in a Saturn restructuring era. That ain't fucking fun. Just saying. Because Uranus is the planet that doesn't care what the fuck you think or what you're going to do. It'll come in and it's going to be the shocker. And Saturn has its way of saying, this is how we are going to structure things. It's the ruler of Capricorn and the co ruler of Aquarius. And Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. So the two of those together, that's like, that's bigger than the Mafia Brothers. That's that's the giant moguls coming together to create something that you haven't even fathomed yet. Right? There's what popped in my head. We're in a dystopia. Yes, yes. Mark Miller just popped up in my it's a weird ass head. But that's the thing, right? This is where we're at. We're at a huge restructuring, a huge where I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do this next year, to do lives. I don't know the way that things are going to be done or the lockdowns that are coming in our world over the next few months, right? This is going to be very crazy. And the fear reaction is I'm losing control. Saturn in Aries says you never had full control. You were just a participant. That's what Saturn comes in. Sorry, you never had the control. I mean, we've heard that before. You don't have control. So that's why you have to surrender. That's why you have to say, I release it and I give it to my higher power. I give it to the divine. I give it to God. And that's very different, right? And the real risk right now, the danger is it's not the war, it's the reactivity, the tribal ego, the fantasy savior. Somebody from on high is going to come down on a cloud and save us all. False heroes and selling illusions under Neptune. Saturn and Neptune punishes fantasy, right? It rewards discipline, spiritual sobriety, boundaries, and strategic patience. All of that is boring as hell. That's not what we want. We want fast action. We want holy. We want to go and we want to just like go, yes, we believe. But that's not what Saturn and Neptune say. They're saying, no, 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 none of that crap. None of that crap. Let's get disciplined. What do you do each day? How do you react each day? What is your spiritual practice? What is your grounding practice? If you're on the go, I gotta do, I gotta do, I gotta do, I gotta do, Saturn and Neptune are gonna say, no, you don't. That's not how we're doing it. You gotta slow the fuck down. You gotta really take a look and you gotta survey the playing field. And you gotta allow yourself little bites at a time. You can't consume it all. Because if that's where you're going and that's what you want, and you want to go, 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 and your mind is freaking out, that's where you're going to have some kind of breakdown. And that's not good. And boundaries on everything, boundaries not only on social media, except for me, right? Just except for me, but just kidding. But boundaries, like what are you allowing into your house? What are you allowing into your realm? That's it's funny because anyways, my grandson, is 10 and of course he loves to play all these games, but it's boundaries on what he can and cannot play. It's boundaries on what we allow him to watch, right? And it doesn't matter, because always look at what is that affiliated with, right? That's the whole thing. It's like you might say, and this is where power comes back to you. where you might say, "Well, this is a good place to eat." Yet in the back of the house, they have illegal immigrants, cooking the food. They have, trafficking going on. But you know what? I know what I like to eat here, and I know the food's good, so I'm still gonna eat there. Okay. Is that a good thing? That's the wake-up call. It might be good food, I'm not saying not, and that's the same thing, this might be a real fun game that they're playing, but what are they associated with? What are they connected with? And that's where the boundaries come in and saying, "Uh-uh, no, no, that's not allowed. That's not allowed, and this is why," right? And this is where Uranus comes in, and Uranus ending what's coming up in Taurus. Taurus is about your values. What are your values? What are your morals? Right? It's like, well, that it's not bothering me any. I can't see that. But that's the whole thing. Once you know, you know. When you know you're 100% responsibility for it. And when you're 100% responsible for that, it's not to give you a fucking guilt trip. That's not what it is. It's about saying, okay, I'm making a stand here. It's like one of the biggest things in my life is that I really try not to buy anything from Nestle at all. That came when I used to work with Peace and Development. Peace and Development is a foundational group that it was in the 70s. Um late 70s that I was a part of through my church. I'm a Catholic. Yes, I was raised Catholic through the Catholic Church. And the Peace and Development was one that actually started a huge about Nestle going to Africa. And what Nestle did in Africa is that they convinced women to not breastfeed, that their formula was better than breast milk. Well, all of a sudden, we had starving children. All of a sudden, we had women unable to feed their child. So, what they would do is because in their head, the belief system came in saying, "This is better for you than your breast milk." What what you are supposed to be utilizing, what is a part of your anatomy, your body, that's what these are for. They're 24/7 McDonald's, right? For children, for babies. And they give them the best nutrients. They convinced a whole nation through propaganda, through different forms of education, starting young, starting with these young girls, that, "Ooh, that's nasty. Ooh, you don't wanna pull your boob out. Ooh, that's embarrassing. Ooh, this is more discreet. This is better for you," right? And it would cost them practically their whole paycheck for 1 can. So what would they do? Dilute it. Yeah, flop it out, ladies. Dilute it. I love it when I see women breastfeeding in the mall. I'm like, "Go for it. You do it." Because that's the most natural thing in the world, right? And when I see things like that and how the propaganda Nestle tried to buy up all the water rights in BC, right? So that they could control the water. And that's the whole thing. It's like, okay, now I know this. Now I'm going to be more aware on what I buy, right? I'm going to be more aware, on what where I get my things. It's like understanding what fluoride is. Well, Crest is the best or Colgate's the best, whatever is the best because I was told from a little kid, little toothpaste coming out dancing. Do, 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 do. Fluoride's good for you. It strengthens your teeth. No, it doesn't. Xylitol is actually better for you. And the xylitol based toothpaste is actually better and more strengthening of your teeth. This is where educate, learning these things, and this is all where these boundaries come in. That's what I mean by boundaries, not necessarily with friends. Yeah, definitely with people who you want, right? And that's where we start to look at. what do I do? Like, even, going to like, Mateus has Oculus, right? And so it's like, "What are you playing now? What are you doing?" Um, and I think Olivia got him on to something to do with Egypt and going on trips to Egypt and Egyptology and things like that. So making it an educational thing instead of a whole other thing that could easily infiltrate, what he's doing and what he's watching. That's the boundary and a strategic practice. Being very strategic on how you practice, where you practice, when you practice. You could, and that could be, it's like, okay, before I go into my car, when I stop at a stoplight, I'm saying my prayers, I'm putting my hand on my heart, I'm coming in and I'm centering myself. That's all part of this. That's what's going to be able to help you to maneuver through the chaos, through the confusion that's coming forward. Like, there's more destabilization that's coming through now through late April. Why? Mercury retrograde in Pisces, collective confusion. Last time it happened, 2020, right? Just before the lockdowns, just before the pandemic came in, right? Saturn, freshly in Aries, like, this guy is in here. He's like, I'm it now. And Mars interacting with Uranus and the eclipse season, whew, right? And then from late May to June, the systems begin revealing realignment patterns, reagreements form, clarity improves, major global restructuring window. You're going to see a lot of moving and shaking. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be simple. We are demolishing systems upon systems upon systems upon systems. Some of them may go back 6,000 years, right? And then from, this is where the Saturn, Neptune being exact, Jupiter opposing Pluto, Uranus fully in Gemini. This is a structural rebuild phase. So this is a lot of things collapsing. This is where we're embodying more authority within ourselves. This is where we have to look at is like, things, not to become emotional to it all, not to panic, which is going to be a hard thing. We're going to see a lot of people panicking. We're going to see a lot of people losing their shit through this all. And this is where also you got to look at it's like where Saturn and Neptune, this is where the illusion is collapsing and authority, spiritual authority, decentralized. We're looking at where Christopher Columbus. Okay, let's look at Chris. Oh, he was like him. Look at him. He was horrible. He did this. Okay, now let's go. Who Christopher Columbus was? Where was he raised? What was the thought patterns of those times, right? And the belief systems that they had at that time. Those belief systems don't transfer to our belief systems today. We know that. What they believed and what they thought and what they were taught was different than what we were taught today. Now, that system had to break down, right? Yeah, horrible shit happened. We know that. But then you go back, it's like they're still doing it today. Do I dare to bring out sacrificing, right? We know it's bad. We know it's bad, right? But this is where these thought patterns where we thought, and that's where the ideology and dogma come in, because there's ideology and dogma that are coming in from different religions saying this is the way we've always done it. Okay, you could take Islam and their belief systems, right? And you can look at Islam and you can look at their belief systems, and when you look at their belief systems, you'll see that a lot of those ideologies are outdated. They're wrong. They don't belong in our world anymore. That form of treatment is not appropriate. That form of treatment of women is not appropriate. Marrying off a 9-year-old is not appropriate, right? A 9-year-old is not a woman. But that's part of their ideology. That's part of their thought process. They have their Sharia law, right? We can go into the Jewish religion, right? And unpack that. That's a huge one on a lot of their ideologies and dogma that they believe in the different sects of the Jewish religion, right? And how they believe. I mean, they've been doing their shit for how long? Probably. Well, Abraham was not Jewish, by the way, just an FYI. Abraham was not Jewish. So a lot of this is like some of this could predate even the Old Testament that's being brought down. Predate even Egypt. They don't even know how old the pyramids are. They have no idea. So all of this is being broken down. All of these thought patterns, these belief systems, these values that we thought were our true values are no longer. And something new is coming in and reformulating. And with that causes confusion, causes frustration, causes overwhelmness, right? And with that confusion and overwhelmness, of course, there's going to be upset. Of course, you're going to get people that are freaking out because their way of life has just been disrupted. Their way of being has just been disrupted. You can think about the Romans going into before it was Britain, right? Going over into those areas. And as the Romans came in, you work with us, you do what we say, everything's kosher. Kosher. But if you don't, we'll kill you. So, so changes, people adapted, people changed, people, did what they had to do in order to survive. Right. So when they went into, of course, when they went into England at the time, or it wasn't even England. But anyways, when they went into the Isles at that time, people they weren't building roads. They weren't being very constructive. They didn't have brick houses. When Christopher Columbus came to North America, they weren't building roads. They weren't living in brick houses. It's like advancement. Things are coming in. Now we're coming into a new way where it's like, okay, you think you got everything. You think you got your brick houses. You think you got your roadways. You think you're able to go on an airplane and travel the way you want to travel. You think you're able to go into the car and drive that car the way you want. Poof, we're rewriting it. We're redoing it. Whoa. That's crazy. That's nutty. That's the energies that are coming in. And it's not to scare you, it's to look at how can I align? What do I look at that are my boundaries? What do I look at that's positive through this? How can I bring in a very strong spiritual practice within myself and not fall to the ideology or the dogma? That's where that's this energy. That's where it's the end of delusion energy, right? And so we have to come into this critical mass where we have to look at, okay, we have to slow down our decisions, preserve the liquidity, build local relationships, strengthen health routines. Huge, right? Okay, as I said, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee because it's the goddess, right? That's why I say, why are you brushing with fluoride? So strengthening health routines, avoid ideological extremists. Save Palestine! Off with the heads! I don't go to protests at all. Like, you won't see me at a protest. Right? I just won't. That's just me. I'm not saying that if you're doing peaceful protesting, awesome, do the peaceful protest. I don't even sign petitions. I learned that a long time from my social studies teacher, Mr. Trenuth. And Mr. Trenuth, we were doing peace and development, right? And we wanted to save the whales and save this, and and we wanted him to sign. He goes, he doesn't sign petitions, and I was like curious. I'm like, well, why don't you sign petitions? He goes, he learned a long time ago, back in, like, because he was older, back in the 60s, about signing petitions and who's taking your name and your name going on a list and the whole bit. Like, he went down a real dark rabbit hole with me. I think I was in grade 10 or 11. I was like, holy shit. He goes, and he said, peace and development is not what you think peace and development is. You got, and even back then, he said, you got to follow the money. Follow the money. Where's the money? Right? So interesting. That's a long story short. There you go. So watching, how to strengthen an idea, that ideological extremists, and don't overconsume apocalyptic narrative. Right. This is where we need to step into creating art, bringing in the tarot, the Renaissance energy, imagery. That's not, and the thing is, that's not random. And the art and the music and the ritual, those are the Saturn Neptune stabilizers, bringing that in, bringing that energy forth, right? And this is where, we're not prepared for a collapse. We're preparing for bigger responsibilities that are coming in, and how these responsibilities are coming forward, in our timeline and in our lives right now. And they're happening now. They're not happening 2 weeks from now. Well, some of it is, just saying. But this is where we got to look at, where are the origins of humanity, religion, AI and governance, war, East, West power shifts. One of the things I can see is that the West is going to be, us in the West are going to be coming like the East, like Eastern Europe. That's how I can see things happening, right? And the reason I say that is that because we're gonna see where all of a sudden we gotta pull up our socks. We've had it way too easy. We're gonna have to start doing things, right? So I can see that type of energy, and that how things are going to get reversed. Things are gonna be coming into like a reversal with this energy. So a lot of shifting in that. So stripping illusions without losing, hopefully not losing sanity, and separating, this is a signal from the adrenals. So you're going to find things to do with your nervous system. Vitamin B, vitamin B's are great for your nervous system. So looking at the different vitamins and stuff to bring in, and trace minerals. Okay. And this is where, oh, emergency. No, cancel. Cancel. My phone just died. So I'm only, phone died. So my phone died. On YouTube only. So, whew. So I got to cool this down. This is going over there. So there goes my phone. Anyways, this is where things are changing dramatically within our lives. This is where we're going to find with, Old Testament, ancient Egypt, Christianity. Astrology is not older, like it's not a religion, definitely, but it shows you the symbol, or the symbolic systems that have been in place and how they're being realigned. This is where civilization and mythologized, in the sky, doesn't mean every tradition is a lie. It means humans interpret mysteries through stories and in different ways. And as they find out through these interpretations and these changes, how things are changing. Saturn and Neptune, right? The cycle, the correlation of the cycles are changing, right? So the systems are changing. And this is where also to looking at the mystical revival after the collapse. It doesn't mandate a religious war, although I can see it definitely a religious war, especially with the Temple Mount. I mean, that's the whole thing with Palestine and Israel. It has to do with the Temple Mount and the energies of the Temple Mount. So we have this, all of these polarizations that are coming in and rhetoric that are coming forward. And this is where, nationalistically, we have Aries energy, Mars and Uranus hard aspects, the economic instability. This is where we're going to find, proxy wars, cyber conflict, trade and supply chains warfare. Definitely that's going to be coming through. And we're going to see that over the next few months and how these things are needing to be restructured. Hey, Roxy. So it is one that is bringing in a lot of huge changes and hybridization. So AI advisory systems, predictive governance tools. So this is where also we're going to find changes within our law system, when it comes to court system, all of that, it's all being revitalized and rechanged. And through it, we just have to allow ourselves, as I say, come into that grounding, see what we can take and what we don't need, so that we can come into a place where we are more clear-headed and we are able to come into more of a grounding with this all. So Saturn requires, Saturn's skill required now, discernment without obsession. And this is where we're going to find that, it's if you go too far, the hidden files, the genetic experiment narratives, and the everything is rigged. Your risk with Neptune fog swallowing, Saturn, the clarity. So this is very important for us to, okay, yeah, we know shit is going on. These things are coming up for a reason. We are coming into a place where we have to really reformulate our energy and how we are wanting our world to be. This is where we find social media, comparison, digital addiction, tribal identity warfare, dehumanization. Leo is the antidote. Leo, the self worth without compassion, loyalty, creative embodiment, face to face presence. That's Leo. Leo wants to come in. It wants to come in and wants you to know the truth of who you are, that soulfulness of who you are. Right? So this is where this is the energy we're coming into. We have a generation, Gen Z, that their IQ has dropped, right? This is where, and it's been shown, it's been proven, there's an era that the next generation is weaker. History shows adaptation, not extinction. But Pluto in Aquarius is a rewiring of the cognate, right? It doesn't erase intelligence, but this is where we're finding that there is a new rewiring when it comes to these new generations, where you have the Gen Zs, and I think Mateus and that they're like the alpha generation, and then we're coming into another generation. So we are coming into a and you're going to find like this alpha new generation very, very conservative. They're not like the Gen Z generation at all, the ones that thought they were cats. This is a generation that's like coming in and they're looking and like, what the fuck? You thought you were what? you know, that's mental illness, right? So we have a generation right now that is needing, like, that is being rewired. And this is where we have to look at things that our nervous system is overstimulated. We have so much that's coming in all at once. The war, NATO collapse, EU falling, genetic experiments, religious as a con, AI takeover. The energy itself is Aries Neptune, right? And this is, Saturn in Aries wants strategic calm, not, you know, rhetoric, combustion, right? It wants organization. So you're going to have that conflict. We want to get this organized. We want to get things get into a strategic way, and people are hanging on to this old fogginess, right? And the thing is that we have to come in as a collective. We have to come in together. So there is this micro communities, the local trust, skills, health, financial prudence, emotional regulation. We're going to find that there's going to be people that need help. You don't just toss them aside. Yeah, there's going to be homeless people. There's going to be people with mental illness. There's going to be people that need help. And as a community, coming together to aid them, to help them in a positive way, not by giving them more drugs or more needles, right? But by giving them some self-respect and giving them the aid and the help that they need. That's part of the restructuring. And this rhetoric that we have is that they're all lying, everything's a fake, war is inevitable, the West collapses, hidden DNA plots, but there's a lot of things escalating there, but you also have to do your homework with it, right? There is conspiracy theories that are definitely true and others that are not. Things that are coming out of the ranch in New Mexico is pretty crazy. And the shit that went down there, which I've talked about before, and it's coming out more and more, but that's a lot for people to take in. Right? Because Saturn is going to say, where's the evidence? Where is the measurable structure? Where is the practical move? And the evidence is coming out. And that's the whole thing, is like Saturn doesn't want to suppress the evidence. Right? The Neptune energy kind of like, oh, let's just stay in the fog over here. Mercury retrograde will say, no, you're fine. Stop looking over here. And Saturn's pushing where it's saying, you got to look at this. You got to look at this. This is Saturn. We got to restructure this. We can't allow this to happen. Right? This is not right. So we're having this energy coming in that's saying we have to restructure. But when you're trying to hang on to the old, when you're trying to hang on to the ways of the old, it can be very difficult.
Here is what we got.
Oh.
The sheriff.
Megyn Kelly came on. That's funny. That's hilarious. Anyways, she just popped on. But that's where people can get very frustrated and everything with things that are happening. So we are in a strategic spiritual place, but we come in as spiritual adults, not spiritual children. Right? And that's where we are, having to come into through this year of the horse, right? Saturn Neptune conjunction.
The fact that the sheriff comes out.
Whoa. Move my phone over there. Just starting to do weird things. So that's where we're at. We're at a place where restructuring is happening, but it's not going to be easy. So, my loves, today, don't try and push things, right? Take it easy, right? Don't try and overconsume. Know what you can and know what you can't, right? And that's really the most important thing. There are things that are going to be coming up that are going to be very scary and feel very scary. But here we have to come into a place where, okay, I need to connect with my higher powers. I need to, come into my meditation pillow. I need to ground where I need to ground. So on that note, I'm sending you guys out so much love. My March, April, May workshop is going to be starting soon in March. And it's $150 for the 3 months if you want to join me for that. If you're wanting a new moon reading, definitely get a hold of me. Those are $50. And may the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you, and all you say and all you be and all you do. Thank you. Thank you for joining me, and so much blessings. Bye-bye.